Doge, 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 Doge. Doge. That is what we are talking about on today's episode of Japan Station. My name is Tony Vega, and perhaps you've heard of the Dogecoin cryptocurrency, or maybe you're familiar with the very famous Doge meme. Or how about Kabosu? So, Kabosu is Japan's most famous Shiba Inu. I think it's not an exaggeration to say that because it was a photo of Kabosu that got turned into the Doge meme, and then somehow that led to the creation of Dogecoin and a bunch of other crazy stuff like Elon Musk, blah 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 blah. So Kabosu is an actual Shiba Inu that lives in Chiba Prefecture, right by Narita Airport. And here's something really interesting that maybe a lot of you are not aware of. There was an actual bronze statue of Kabosu created, and it's in this town in Chiba Prefecture. You can go there and take a picture with it and post it up on your Instagram and say that you took a picture with the Doge. Like, it's actually there. This just happened late last year in 2023. And today's episode is all about the crazy process that an organization had to go through to make this happen. So, my two guests today are number one, John Monarch. So, he's basically the creator of the Doge meme. The meme starts with him, and it was an honor to get to talk to him. And I also talked to someone else named Smoke. That's the name they go by. And they belong to the Own the Doge organization. Own the Doge is the organization that got the money together. They took care of all the logistics, and it was really complicated, but they created this actual slightly bigger than life-size statue of Kabosu the Shiba Inu and made it happen. They got it installed in this park in Chiba Prefecture. And John Monarch, he was involved with this too. And it was a crazy, crazy effort, a crazy story that I actually loved. Totally just learning about this. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. But before we get into the interview, remember to subscribe to the YouTube channel if you're watching on YouTube. If you're over on the podcast, hit that subscribe button as well on the audio only version. Leave me a like and comment over on the YouTube channel. I'm trying to grow this channel, so every little bit helps. Of course, if you want to support the show financially and what I do, there are links down there in the description or show notes, Patreon, Ko-fi for one-time donations. So you can go check that out. Every little bit helps. I would greatly appreciate that. So let's get into it. It's Japan Station, the Doge episode. Thank you guys for making time. Really appreciate it. I've been wanting to talk to you guys, and I'm so happy that I even got you on. I wasn't expecting to have you on, John, but it was wonderful to know that. It's like, oh, you're coming on. Great.
It's awesome to be a part. This is fun.
Thank you. So I want to give kind of an overview of the story of the Doge and Kabosu before we get into the most recent project, which is of course Bronze Doge, and how people can actually go and see like the statue of Kabosu now, which I think is this amazing story. But first, let's give a little bit of context. I'm not sure who wants to go for that, Smoke or John. Like, can we tell like where did this whole Doge thing start? It's got a long history, and John, you're an integral part of this. So could you give us a little bit of context for somebody that's not really familiar with the history?
Yeah, for sure. So Kabosu was a puppy mill dog, unfortunately. So she had a kind of a rough life, and Atsuko Sato, the puppy mill shut down, and Atsuko adopted her. And it was not looking promising until Atsuko took her in, and she really took care of Kabosu very well. And in 2010, she posted some pictures on her blog in Japan, and that picked up, and it got pretty popular over there. Just pictures of Kabosu on the couch, smiling or making that kind of skeptical face, like here in the background, getting poked or like making the feisty face and all that fun stuff. And I ended up coming across it by accident on Reddit and posted it on Reddit with, it was originally like an ad. So I posted it with a kind of a colorful caption that used the word Doge at first. I actually pronounced it Doge. And I never thought anything of it. And then it just kind of disappeared for a little while. And then a few years later, all of a sudden the memes started blowing up. There's like pictures of Kabosu everywhere with Comic Sans. And like it ended up becoming Dogecoin. And now it's today, actually on the 6th of December, it's the 10th anniversary of Dogecoin. And so this whole like cycle has been going, and the memes just keep growing and growing, and it's evolved into so many different things. From, you know, we have like strong Doge and Cheems. We have all these different adaptations of Doge, and now, you know, we celebrated all of this with Kabosu's 18th birthday. So for a dog, that's phenomenal. That's amazing. And as a part of this whole broader community with the Dogecoin groups, the Dogecoin Foundation, Own the Doge, all of the supporters got together and made this like Bronze the Doge project to build a statue in Kabosu's honor in Sakura, Japan, to really just recognize the legacy of everything.
Yeah, so just for the listeners, viewers, you know, after the fact, because we're recording this, like today is December 6th, right? So I didn't even realize like today was the Dogecoin anniversary. It's such a nice little coincidence. Well, okay. So yeah, you know, the Doge meme and Kabosu, you know, in Japan, but I think even more, you know, outside of the world, it's become this like huge thing. And of course there's the Dogecoin aspect to it, but it all began with like this kind of like meme thing, like you said, you know, posting the pictures on Reddit and everybody, you know, putting the funny text and all that. And it's become this kind of culturally relevant thing, not beyond crypto. You know, it's just like this thing that's, to some people, been around like as long as they've been alive at this point. Right? So
that's crazy to think about.
Yeah, it is. It's, you know, the people grew up and there was no Doge like before they were like, it's crazy. It's crazy. But anyway, like what I want to, you know, learn a bit about it, well, learn a lot about is, you know, how this whole statue, you know, came about. This is a big undertaking. You know, it's in a foreign country for you guys, you know, it's in Japan. You have to get in touch with the government or whatever, the local government, the mayor, I guess, and get the permissions and fund the creation of the statue. And it's basically like the famous statue in Japan of the Shibainu, of course, is Hachiko, right? Like, which is in Shibuya, the famous dog that waited for its master. But, you know, now there's Kabosu, the statue of Kabosu with the 3 cats and all that. And it's in Japan now. There's another famous statue there that people can actually go visit. But how did this project get started? What was the idea? How did, you know, who proposed it, and what did you guys start doing? How did you guys start working on it?
That's all Smoke. She knows it best.
Okay, Smoke, can you tell us a bit about that then?
Yes. So I'll jump in. Yeah, but basically, so who came up with the idea is kind of contested, and like, because I think this idea has been going around for a long time, like just even within the Dogecoin community or the Doge community at large, just the concept of, wow, wouldn't it be amazing if there was actually a Doge statue? Yeah. But I think bringing that idea into something that's tangible is really where Own the Doge stepped in, along with the Dogecoin Foundation and a bunch of other friends, including Rainbow Wallet, and decided, you know, we're actually going to make this happen. So what we have is a DAO. So that's a decentralized autonomous organization. So most of the things that are passed within our project go through a DAO governance process. So we had a gentleman called Doge King who was essential to our project. He's no longer with us, but he really helped us a lot in building where we are today. And he proposed, actually, I'm trying to think, along with salad pingers. So this has been, sorry, let me just start over. Good thing you're going to be cutting this. Sorry, it's a long day. But yeah, so basically the first thing was we all ideated on this would be amazing. Then we decided, well, how would we make it happen? We're going to have to look through foundries. We're going to have to get a bunch of different quotes. We're going to have to see what would this cost. We're going to have to raise the money. So we decided, let's go on Twitter Space and just actually crowdfund this money and make this idea happen. So like I said, Doge King, and then this awesome girl called Julia Love, who a lot of people know, she's the owner of the Doge McLaren, which is like a really sick McLaren that just has Doge all over it. And basically those two were the stars. They went up there multiple times on Twitter Space and they were like, hey, this is what we want to do. A few of us tagged along, myself, a girl called Unabot, and we were just there as kind of like helpers running the space. But during these Twitter Spaces, they were actually able to raise $100,000 to build this statue. Wow. And this came in, the really cool thing is half of that money was raised in Dogecoin. Yeah, and the other half like in pretty much mostly ETH. So it was like really crypto based, tied Dogecoin in directly, was really crowdsourced from the community at large, whether they were Dogecoin holders, whether they were ETH maxis, whether they were Doge lovers of the Doge meme. everybody came together, and that was the first step. So once we got the money, we were like, okay, we're doing this. We put it into a multi-sig wallet, and then we went around and we got a bunch of quotes and did a ton of work, hundreds and hundreds of hours of work of just research. And then we brought on an extremely talented person named Salad Pingers to actually manage our next step, which was going out and actually getting it done. We had already sourced the money and done some research, but now we needed to actually make sure the design was tight, meet with the owner of Doge, Atsuko Sato, and that's where Salad came in. He was a huge asset. We took on others like the infamous John Monarch, who has been an amazing addition to our team. And it's pretty crazy because who would think that the actual creator of the Doge meme would end up working with us for the betterment of Doge, and just, it's kind of crazy if you think about it, but that's how it happened. And so he's been on, and he really helped us and was extremely intricate in getting us down to Japan the second time and making sure that the actual unveiling of the statue was a huge success. So yeah, stuff in between would be, and it's boring DAO talk, but would be, a proposal had to go through to make sure that it was funded. Own the Doge DAO actually put like 30K or so toward it. Dogecoin Foundation put a large percentage toward it. We commissioned it. And then from there, Atsuko Sato herself, who's the owner of Doge, was actually directly involved in the creation of the statue, to the point where she said, you know what? I need my 3 cats in there as well.
I love that.
Yeah, so like we originally were just going to have like Doge, and what we were going to do is the more money we raised, the bigger Doge was going to be. But we got a little pushback on that. Like we were a little overzealous because we were like, oh yeah, Doge is going to be huge. It's going to be like King Kong, if we could get enough money. And the park was like, yeah, you guys we're not interested in having like a giant dog that like is unsightly.
Yeah, I know.
So we came back down to reality, and we're like, okay. So we just were like, we'll just make, maybe a nicer one or go with a more expensive company. But ultimately what ended up happening was Atsuko came in and she was like, I want my 3 cats there too. And then kind of last second, a really cool twist was they actually made the stone, I may say this wrong, plinth, the stone piece actually into a couch, which was not even planned. It was like last second.
Right.
So it's pretty crazy because obviously you've seen the meme and there's that couch right behind John. And yeah, so that's actually part of the statue.
Yeah. Oh, that's and I love how Atsuko had played a part in this. Also, so the statue is a little bit bigger than life size, if I remember correctly, right?
Yes. Yep. A little bit bigger, but still super tasteful. One other thing I do want to mention too is a huge part of this project has been like the leader of Own the Doge. His name is Dog, and without him, we definitely wouldn't be here either. He has built a really strong relationship with not only Atsuko, but with the mayor and the city council. And that's what really allowed us to take that next step and ensure that we could make this happen. Yeah. And the second thing I want to say, because I know you had been asking me in the past, was what were some of the difficulties? Yeah. I would say a big difficulty that we had, or something that was very challenging, was all of the translation that went on, because none of us are actually fluent in Japanese.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about that. Yeah,
it's interesting. It's the herding cats aspect, right? So like DAOs by nature are kind of difficult to organize. So there's some of that. And yeah, the mayor has been awesome to work with. Like he's been really interested in the project. He was really enthusiastic. The Sango Nishida, for the mayor of Sakura, he was all in, gave a great speech at the actual Doge Day event, has been involved the entire way. It's really been fantastic to work with him.
Oh, that's great to hear. And I'm curious though, like who approached like the local government, or I guess the park is part of the, it's a municipal park, I assume. So you had to approach the city hall or whatever, and who did that, and like I said, it must have been challenging, but how did that get started?
So it was kind of a group effort, but I will say Dog helped a lot in initiating, because he has a very strong relationship with Atsuko Sato. He worked directly with her to speak with city council, and they kind of approached together to the mayor and the city council to say, listen, this is a famous dog that's famous in the United States, lives in Japan, some fame in Japan, but not to the level of the US and other countries. We'd love to build a statue. We want to fix up the park, because that was part of the deal. We were going to help put some benches in. We were going to help clean up the park, and also really turn the park into a site for a landmark. where you're going to have people from potentially, and actually as we've shown recently, people from across the world are going to be visiting. And so they did see that as something that could be super positive and great for the city and for the park itself. And then we had some super extraordinary translators that helped us immensely as far as this is what they're saying, this is what they want, this is what they don't want. And then we had individuals like John, Salad Pingers, Doge King, many different people that kind of worked with translators. Myself as well, I worked with a couple of translators to get a lot of the quotes in the beginning on where, what foundry we were going to go with. And then, yeah, it was such a group effort. Gary LaChance, who was a member at one time of the Dogecoin Foundation, was extremely helpful. He actually was the one who recommended the foundry that we ended up going with. So, yeah, it was a super group effort.
Yeah. Yeah. Like one of the aspects that I love about the story is that the city in Japan, Sakura, it's is it Chiba Prefecture or is it Tokyo?
It's Chiba.
It's Chiba. Okay. It's in Chiba Prefecture. It's not a famous city. It's not a place that most people would ever go to, even like locals in Japan. Like if you live in the area, you'll pass by, but otherwise there's like no real reason for you to go there. But you guys have done this thing where like now there's, something more there. There's a thing that will attract, people and go like, oh, there's a Doge statue there. Like, I'm in the area. Maybe I'll just stop by and check it out. I'll go take a picture there. Like now you've created like something for people to go see there. And that will, I don't know to what extent, but it will have some economic impact. It already has on the local area, and for this little, it is a city, but it's not like a huge city. That does have a significant impact, and I think that's super super cool. So I'm glad it all worked out in this way.
And we want to keep that going. We want to, Doge Day this year we think was a big success. It was a combination of all these people that came from all over the world that wanted to be a part of this initial event, along with a lot of the locals. So it was this really cool like mishmash of people that there's a lot of like couple hundred people with their dogs and strollers and a bunch of our people and all kinds of live streaming. And I think that a lot of the people from the area weren't sure what to make of all of us crazy people, but it was a lot of fun. So you can tell that they really enjoyed it. So we want to keep it going, and maybe who knows, we'll make it an annual thing.
Yeah, that would be awesome. That would be the annual Doge Day in Sakura, Japan. So I'm curious about the actual process of the statue, though. How does that happen? Do you like have to take pictures of Kabosu from every angle, or how do you get the foundry like the information they need?
Yeah. So one thing that you guys made me think of that we can talk on later is going to be the fact that we did create a holiday there as well. So I know we haven't talked about that, but make sure we remember to.
Okay. Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah. But yeah, as far as the creation of the statue, different foundries had different qualifications, but I know there was a 3D scan involved. I know there was a clay model involved. So they have artists that will create an actual model of Doge and of the cats, because the cats were included. So we were able to see those outtakes. And also we had Atsuko right there literally watching the artist and, different people. So they were able to say, that doesn't look right, or, let's do something to the ear here, or, make the expression on Doge a little bit more curious and things like that, until it looked, really sufficient and really true to life. And honestly, you can ask John his opinion as well on this, but I think it came out really above and beyond my expectations. Especially when I saw it live, I was pretty floored at how well it, how good it came out.
Seeing people post pictures on Google Maps on reviews of everything and like sitting with Kabosu on the couch is pretty awesome.
I love that.
It's amazing.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that. There's the couch there. That's the extra thing. You can take the picture there. That's great. So yeah, tell us about the holiday then. Yeah.
Yeah, so this is like a little side quest that we like just did like during all of this insanity. So like I said, a member of the leader of the project, Tridog, he basically got in touch with these individuals while he was doing a TED talk, and they were like, hey, we actually like are the I don't know if you want to say are the middlemen of holidays, but they help holidays to become a reality. So he proposed this to the DAO and was like, hey, why don't we actually make an international Doge Day? So we were all like, you know what? Let's go. We're down. We want to do this. So we decided it would be the perfect day for us to create the holiday would be on Doge's birthday. So so when we actually went to kind of unveil this statue, not only were we unveiling a statue of Doge that we had worked on for years, we were also celebrating the first international Doge Day, the first international Doge holiday, and Kabosu's 18th birthday, all at that same moment. And the way that the holiday was commissioned was we had to pay this company to kind of, make it official. And they actually flew down and they had like, they did John, refresh my memory. What is it called?
They did like a proclamation.
Proclamation. Yep.
Yeah.
They did an official proclamation. And yeah, so, this is the same company. They're called like National Day Calendar. They helped to create National Avocado Day in the United States, which ended up being a big hit, and a few other super popular holidays as well. So it's like I always say, it depends on the community. Like you can obviously just create any random holiday, but you got to have a strong community and you have to have people celebrating around the world or around the country in order to actually make it something that's going to be long standing. But I think that Doge Day is definitely one of those days that's going to stand the test of time.
Yeah. I mean, it all comes down to whether people still, celebrate it, commemorate it, and I mean, you guys absolutely did in 2023. So what day was that, or what day will it be from now on?
November 2nd.
November 2nd. Okay. And of course, you guys, just like you just said, you had the unveiling in Sakura, Japan for the statue, whole big celebration. Can you tell us about that? Like what you had the proclamation, all that, but how many people went? What did you do? Like what was it like?
So there were several hundred people there. The logistics of it were really interesting. So it was a combination of Smoke already mentioned salad pingers and myself doing a lot of organization, Smoke helping out a significant amount. And it was, we had this, when Salad Pingers proposed this to the DAO, basically, it was, we want to do this. We did this pilgrimage to meet Kabosu earlier in the year, but now we want to unveil the statue. We want to celebrate her, and we want to make sure that this is like a really big deal on her birthday. And if for anything, it was, for Atsuko and for the city of Sakura and the statue and everything. So we coordinated this and turned it into an event where there were some people had passes. It was free to attend, but also if you wanted a VIP pass, we would cover things like the hotel. There were events as VIPs, groups, after parties, a dinner, stuff along those lines. So that way it was a full experience for all the people flying in from across the world. So we had probably 40 to 50 VIPs that wanted to be a part. We had staff. We had, and then just tons of random people signed up we had an Eventbrite up for free. It was, hey, come to Sakura on this day. At this time, we coordinated with a bunch of local food trucks to be there at the same time.
Awesome.
Picked a time of day that, it's the meme. It was 420 unveiling for the statue. And then on top of that, but it was perfect because it was the exact golden hour moment that made it like amazing. So like Tridog and Zona pulled the cover off the statue and unveiled it. Everyone was really, celebrating it. We had people giving some talks beforehand. There was music and, like I said, the food trucks. It was just a great event, and there had to be between 300 and 500 people there across the day, and it was a pretty good crowd.
Wow! And could you give any like estimate of like how many of those people came from outside of Japan just for this?
At least 100 to 150, I would say.
Wow!
So there were a lot of people that came just for this, and there were a lot of like expats and foreigners living in Japan, or people who were on trips already that were just conveniently timed, and then a ton of locals too.
Yeah.
Also, I want to jump in. Something that we haven't mentioned is, just add this to the mix. Have you heard of Bad Luck Brian? He was there with us. Have you heard of Tay Zonde? Have you heard of the very famous meme from back in the day, meme video, Chocolate Rain? Tay Zonde was with us.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and Doge. Like one of the most amazing things was that Doge, or also known as Kabosu, was there, and Atsuko spent the entire day with us, like taking pictures. We had some crazy decentralized dance party, and Atsuko stayed and danced with us. And honestly, like I thought I was dreaming. I thought I was on the Truman Show. Like I know it sounds weird, but
big YouTubers there, like Taylor Nikolai was there.
Wow.
We had Instagram influencers coming out. Anton in Japan, who's a clothing model, but also does like renovations of homes in Japan. He's from Sweden. He was, 500,000 followers on Instagram and more. I think Taylor Nikolai is like several million on YouTube. It was a large event.
That's wonderful. And just for anybody that doesn't know, I mean, we already said that, Kabosu Doge is still alive, but has not been in good health lately. But never, so people were unsure if Kabosu was going to be able to make it. But it's great that Atsuko and Kabosu were able to participate for in the event. That's wonderful. And so, possibly, in 2024, maybe you guys might do something again there, or somewhere you want to celebrate, the International Doge Day again. So I guess you guys are already thinking about that. But, if people want to know more, I guess they should follow. What's the best place to follow or to keep up on that?
Own the Doge on Twitter is going to be, or X, I guess, is now. And all of our channels, like Instagram, everywhere you can find us, Own the Doge, and ownthedoge.com. Our new site will be up soon.
Gotcha.
So that's probably the best way to find out more about us.
Great. And then just one last thing, just to give people a little bit more context about, Own the Doge and all that. Like, I know you guys have done a lot of stuff, and a lot of it, there's been like huge charitable donations. Atsuko, I know, has been integral to that as well. Like, for example, the couch and all that. Like, could you give a little bit of information about that, just so people understand kind of like what the other things that you guys have done?
Yes. So yeah, one really crazy thing that we did is, because we were actually, not to go into the whole story about it, but we were started by a company or a project called Pleaser DAO, which a lot of people are aware of. Since then, we've moved towards more decentralization, but we were started by them. And for their second episode of this project that they had started called Pleaser House, we actually auctioned the in real life Doge couch, which ironically, John helped to ship to the new owners. And we were actually able to, correct me if I'm wrong, but I want to say we auctioned it for around 20 ETH.
Yeah, I think
is that right, John?
Like $50,000 to $70,000 at the time, somewhere around there. And man, let me tell you, moving a single used couch from Japan to San Francisco is not easy.
Yeah, I can imagine.
But yeah, beyond that, we've had so many accomplishments. We've had so many insanely talented people come through our DAO, participate in our DAO. There are a few other ones I'd love to quickly mention that have made Own the Doge what we are today, and that would be John Lin. So John Lin is actually the director that we hired for a Doge documentary that we're creating. This was something else that went through our DAO. And actually, when we just had this event in Japan, he was down there. He was filming, and a lot of the footage that he got is going to be in an official Doge documentary that we're hoping is going to be like Netflix level. That's going to really end up being something big. I also want to shout out Elio, who's a newer member of our project, but is an OG in the space. He's been super helpful, and he was actually down there as well filming during the event, and he did an amazing job. And then I also want to mention we have a couple of members, Shub, GUI, Path, Cryptopathic, who have been super helpful and involved in the last few months. And they really helped to kind of keep the crowd going that wasn't able to visit. Because as you know, our project is really based online. A lot of these people, actually all of these people, I had met for the first time when I went down there. So we had a huge community of people that were pretty much just watching by their computer screen, waiting to see what was happening next, waiting for the posts, waiting for the live stream. And yeah, we're just super happy that we had people on the floor there, on the ground, and on the computer, making sure that everybody could participate on that amazing day.
And you're right, along with the couch, that was between 50 and 70,000. But the big one, of course, was initially when the meme, the picture, the photo itself was sold as an NFT, and it was millions of dollars. And Atsuko was very gracious, and it basically all went to charity. So she selected many different, schools and different charities around the world that she thought were worthy of her support. And so this entire project, like the whole ethos of Doge, it turned into like do only good every day, and that just makes it even better.
Yeah, no, I love that, and that's what I want to give a little context for people that there's funds being raised, there's all these things being done, but ultimately there are people that are it's not just like raising funds just to make money. Like you guys are actually giving back, and as we're talking about the statue, right? Like you're actually contributing to the local economy in this very interesting and unique way that, to be perfectly honest, I don't think anybody in Japan would have gone through the effort to do, and yet you guys, like this whole community of people like around the world, have come together to do this, and now this town in Japan has this extra thing that they didn't have, this landmark, this place for people to go visit, and it's somewhere that people from around the world are gonna go check out, and I'll have to go check it out eventually. I haven't had the chance. I was in Japan in late October, but I had to come back right before the Doge Day, unfortunately, so I'll have to visit on a separate trip.
Everyone posts photos on social, videos. It's tag the city, tag Own the Doge, and it's just awesome. It's really cool to check out. That park is surprising. Like it's in the middle of like tulip fields, and in the spring they've got the tulips blooming, and they've got that big windmill, and it's amazing.
Oh, that's beautiful. Yeah, I saw the windmill. Yeah, that's very interesting. But it sounds like a very nice. And I guess the train line passes fairly nearby the park, I assume.
It does, and
okay.
So it's accessible. It's about an hour outside of Tokyo, like Eastern Tokyo.
Okay, I think it's kind of by the Narita Airport, right?
It is.
Okay, right. So maybe you can go get out at the airport, visit the Doge statue, and then get on your way to Tokyo after that. Exactly. Yeah, very good.
Visit Sakura more. Let's help the mayor out in the city there. They definitely deserve some more tourism.
Yeah, absolutely. So for anybody that wants to know more, again, Own the Doge, the links will be in the description or in the show notes if you're listening to the audio. So go check that out if you're curious about that, or just go check out Sakura. The statue is there with the 3 cats and the couch. It's totally free. You can go take a picture, post about it. No need to buy a ticket or anything. So John and Smoke, I really do appreciate you guys taking the time to tell me about this story and sharing it with the listeners. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, this was awesome.